element. And I told you that aluminium has no essential role in any biochemical system. Biochemical system or biochemistry. The biochemistry is the chemistry of the living organism. The chemistry that is used by the living organisms. Okay? The chemistry that exists or that is involved in the metabolism of humans and animals and even bacteria, that chemistry is called biochemistry. It is actually a discipline for biologists, okay, for medical doctors and biologists. Okay, many chemical elements, many chemical atoms or many chemical elements perform important biochemical roles. Life as we know it would not be possible without the elements found in organic chemistry, namely carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Many chemical elements perform. Who could remind me, who could give me a synonym for the verb perform, to perform? To perform. Nobody? To perform. Nobody? Many chemical elements perform important biochemical roles. Many chemical elements conduct important biochemical roles, do important, or have, in this case, have important biochemical roles. Actually, to perform or means effectuer in French. S'effectue, to perform. I perform a chemical reaction. I performed a chemical reaction, or I performed an experiment, okay? To perform, in this case, to perform a role. It means that there are some elements that exist in the human body that have special roles, okay? Life as we know it, la vie telle qu'on la connaît, would not be possible without the elements found in organic chemistry. La vie telle qu'on la connaît ne serait pas possible sans les éléments trouvés en chimie organique, namely carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Okay? These are the elements found in organic chemistry that are mandatory, that are obligatory for life. Okay? We also need we need elements from inorganic chemistry as well. We also need elements from inorganic chemistry as well to make life possible. A number of metal ions have been selected to construct living organisms, okay? Many metal ions or metallic ions have been selected to construct living organisms, not only elements from organic chemistry. Do you understand? Some of them, sorry, I have to admit one. Some of them, like sodium and potassium, calcium and magnesium, are present at quite large concentrations, constituting the so-called bulk elements. Some of the metallic ions, some of them, we mean by that, some of the metallic elements or the metallic ions, like sodium and potassium, calcium and magnesium, are present at quite large concentrations. Do you remember the meaning of quite large? Quite large?
Un peu.
Do you remember the meaning of quite? Dans une large mesure. إلى حد كبير. Quite large to a considerable extent. Dans une large mesure. Extent, okay? To considerable extent. Dans une large mesure. Si vous voulez dire dans une certaine mesure, إلى حد ما, you say to a certain extent. Do you understand? Okay. Some of them, like sodium and potassium, calcium and magnesium, are present at quite large concentrations, constituting the so-called bulk elements. I told you, for example, calcium, we have, I think in the body, we have more than 500 grams of calcium. I think we have more, almost 1 kilogram of calcium, something like that. You know, even if we had only 500 grams, it is very different from the amount of cobalt in the human body. Whereas, whereas others like cobalt, copper, iron, and zinc are known as trace elements. If we compare the concentration or the amount, the mass of calcium in the human body, you may find, for example, 700 grams in the human body. And if you compare it to the cobalt mass, you will find that cobalt exists in, for example, with the mass of, for example, 10 milligrams. 10 milligrams, if you compare them to 500 grams, there is a huge difference between the amounts of these elements. Some elements exist in quite large concentrations, and others exist in very, very small concentrations. The first ones are called bulk elements, and the second are called trace elements. Okay? Do you understand?
Yes, ma.
We don't have a lot of cobalt. We don't have a lot of iron and zinc because these are transition metals, and we don't have a lot of transition metals. If we had a lot of transition metals, we would be sick because they are toxic. Okay, they are toxic at a certain concentration. They are toxic. Okay. Here are some questions just to summarize. C'est des questions seulement pour résumer. Just 6 elements, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon, calcium, and phosphorus, make up almost 98.5% of the elemental composition of the human body by weight. Juste seulement 6 éléments font 98,5% du corps par masse. Okay? Only 6 elements make up almost 98.5% of the elemental composition of the human body by weight. And just 11 elements account for 99.9% of the human body. The 5 others are potassium, sulfur, sodium, magnesium, and chlorine. Do you understand? 6 elements make 98.5%. Don't forget that in English we use points, not commas. And you add 5 others, which are potassium, sulfur, sodium, magnesium, and chlorine. You will have these 11 elements that make or that account for 99.9% of the human body by weight. But be careful. 11 elements make 99% of the human body by weight. That's okay because they are bulk elements maybe. But we need, however, between 20 and 30 elements are required, necessary. However, between 20 and 30 elements are required by some, if not all, living organisms, and for these, quite a number are metals. Un certain bon nombre, quite a number, are metals, okay? Between 20 and 30 elements are required by the living organism, and quite a number, many elements of these 20, 30 elements are metals, okay? In addition to the 4 metal ions mentioned before, we know that cobalt, copper, iron, manganese, molybdenum, nickel, vanadium, and zinc are essential for humans, while tungsten replaces molybdenum in some bacteria. I told you that most of the transition metals exist in what we call metalloenzymes, the enzymes that use a metallic ion. They use the metallic ion to perform some redox reactions. The transition metals like cobalt, copper, iron, manganese, molybdenum, nickel, vanadium, and zinc, they are all transition metals. They can all exist in several oxidation members. Because they can exist in several oxidation members, they can undergo oxidation and reduction. That's why some enzymes use them, because of their redox properties. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes, and I asked you last time, in addition to the 4 metal ions mentioned before, let's go back to this slide. Where are the 4 metal ions mentioned here? Among the 11 elements, where are the which ones are metals and which are non-metals? Oxygen and hydrogen? What do you think?
Sorry, man.
Nitrogen, not a metal.
Not metal. Nitrogen is not a metal. What about oxygen, hydrogen, carbon, and calcium? What do you think? Quickly, please, you cannot recognize.
And the hydrogen is not a metal.
Yes, hydrogen is not a metal. Okay,
Carbon is a
quickly.
metal.
Carbon? No.
No.
Carbon is actually carbon is not a metal. It is the most important element in organic chemistry. It is not a metal. Be careful. You obviously don't remember the periodic table in which I showed you the metals in gray. This is the periodic table on which I showed you the metals in gray. Look at the metals. All the elements that exist in the gray the gray color. All the elements that have that gray color are actually metals. Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, and barium are alkali and alkaline earth metals. The first ones, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, and cesium are alkali metals. Beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, and barium are alkaline earth metals. From strontium to gallium, from strontium to zinc, cadmium, and mercury, they are all transition metals. Aluminium, gallium, indium, tin, thallium, lead, and bismuth, they make stairs, and they are also metals. All the other ones are not metals. Boron, silicon, germanium, antimony, these are what we call metalloids, okay? But they are not metals too. And the others are not even metalloids, they are non-metals, okay? Do you understand? Do you understand? If you understood, you will, it will be easy for you to tell me which elements are metals and which are not. I'm going to give you a minute. Tell me which elements are metals and which are not.
Which metal?
Yes, which ones are metals?
The calcium is the metal.
Yes, calcium is a metal. Sorry, I have to admit one of your classmates. Sorry. No, I don't understand. I do. Listen, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and carbon are non-metals. Okay? Calcium is a metal. Phosphorus is not a metal. Okay? Phosphorus belongs to the group of nitrogen. If nitrogen is not a metal, and phosphorus neither. Calcium is a metal, here it is. Potassium is a metal, sulfur is not a metal, sodium is a metal, it is an alkali metal, sodium. Magnesium is an alkaline earth metal, and chlorine is a halogen, and halogens are non-metals. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All of these are metal, transition metals, okay? Among all these essential metals, aluminium is considered a non-essential one. What is the meaning of among? What is the meaning of among? Parmi, min بين, parmi. Among all these essential metals, aluminium is considered a non-essential one. Aluminium concentration we know today before the Industrial Revolution. Parmi les éléments, ces métaux essentiels, on est considéré comme étant un métal ou un élément non essentiel. L'aluminium n'existait pas dans le corps humain avec la concentration qu'on lui connaît aujourd'hui avant la révolution industrielle. Aluminium did not exist in the human body with the concentration we know today before the Industrial Revolution. What is the Industrial Revolution? Aluminium did not exist in our bodies before the Industrial Revolution. But now, if I had to take samples of your blood, I would find aluminium in all the samples. Aluminium is inside our all our bodies. Sorry, aluminium is inside. It was not the case before the Industrial Revolution. Some centuries ago, if we took some blood samples, if humans had been able to make titrations and analysis, they wouldn't have found any aluminium. They wouldn't have found any. Actually, now and the century before, since the Industrial Revolution, avec la révolution industrielle, الثورة الصناعية, because of the Industrial Revolution, الثورة الصناعية, pollution appeared, la pollution est arrivée. And now we have a lot of aluminium in our body. But what is the Industrial Revolution? And how did it create or induce the pollution? The pollution from the transition to new manufacturing processes in Europe and the United States in the period from about 1760 to sometimes between 1820 and 1840. The Industrial Revolution was the transition. The transition means that you move from a state to another. Vous passez d'un état à un autre. The Industrial Revolution was the transition to new manufacturing processes in Europe and the United States in the period from about 1760 to sometimes between 1820 and 1840. It depends on the country. In some countries, it started in Europe. In some countries like England, I think, it started early in 1760. But in some other countries, it did not appear or arrived in 1760. It arrived or it appeared in 1820 or 1840. The Industrial Revolution was a transition from what? It was a transition. This transition included going from hand production methods to machines. La transition incluait le passage de la production, des méthodes de production manuelle aux machines. First one, new chemical manufacturing, des méthodes de production chimique, and iron production processes, c'est des procédés de production du fer. Do you understand? It means that the Industrial Revolution was actually a transition from handmade products and production. C'était une transition de la production manuelle. Handmade, ça veut dire manuel, fait main. Handmade, I'm sending a message. Handmade. Handmade, fait main. Okay? Sorry, give me a minute, please. Sorry. I am sorry, guys. Hello? Hello? Where are you?
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
Sorry. I needed 5 minutes, sorry. Did you understand what was the Industrial Revolution? الثورة الصناعية, la révolution industrielle. Before the Industrial Revolutions, people did not use a lot of machines. Avant la révolution industrielle, les gens n'utilisaient pas beaucoup les machines. Machines did not exist in the daily life of people. Les machines n'existaient pas dans le quotidien des gens. Okay, some scientists discovered and created some machines, but machines were not widely spread. They were not spread in the society. Mais les machines n'étaient pas répandues. Des scientifiques avaient fabriqué des machines, mais c'était pas répandu. Les gens fabriquaient ou produisaient manuellement. People were prepare manufacturing or selling things that they handmade, okay? That they handmade, des produits qu'ils ont fait main, okay? But with the Industrial Revolution, things had changed. Avec la révolution industrielle, les choses ont changé. Actually, the transition appeared, the transition from handmade processes or methods to machines, to chemical manufacturing and iron production processes. Okay, do you understand?
Yes, madam.
The impact on the environment now. What was the impact on the environment of the Industrial Revolution? The use of chemicals. You know the meaning of chemicals when we say chemicals, not chemical elements, or we say chemicals. When we say chemicals, it means produits chimiques. All the chemical compounds that we use in a laboratory or in a factory. Do you know the meaning of a factory?
Usine.
Une usine, factory, c'est une usine. Yes, you are right, Aisha, thank you. It is chemicals are all the chemical compounds that we use in the laboratory or in a factory. We say chemicals, okay? Do you understand? The use of chemicals and fuel in factories resulted in increased air and water pollution. The use of chemicals and fuel in factories. L'utilisation de produits chimiques. Et what is a fuel? What is a fuel? How do we call fuel in French? How do we call fuel in French? C'est un carburant.
What?
Essence.
Comment, madam?
What is going on? You cannot hear me? What is going on? Tell me you cannot hear, you don't hear me?
We are here, madam, but
You cannot hear me? What is going on? You don't hear me?
can you repeat, please, madam, your question?
Yes, of course. I told you the use of chemicals and fuel in factories. The use of chemicals and fuel in factories. What is the meaning of chemicals? We said the chemicals are all the compounds used in chemistry in a laboratory or in a factory. Les chemicals, c'est tous les produits chimiques utilisés dans un laboratoire ou dans une usine. In English, we say chemicals. Okay, what about fuel? The use of chemicals and fuel in factories. What is the translation of fuel? Quelle est la traduction de fuel? Un carburant. Un combustible ou un carburant? Bon, je pense que c'est carburant, non? Un combustible. C'est possible, mais un carburant, je pense, un carburant. The use of chemicals and fuel in factories resulted in increased air and water pollution. What is the meaning of to increase or increased? What is the meaning of increased?
Augmentation.
An increase, c'est une augmentation. To increase, c'est augmenter. To increase. To increase. To increase. Augmenter, augmenter. You think that fuel is better translated combustible ou la carburant? Combustible ou la carburant? Fuel. The best translation for fuel, is it combustible ou carburant? Maybe we can use the dictionary, the Cambridge Dictionary. Cambridge Dictionary. No problem, we can check. Of course, we cannot, we don't know everything. We have to check, no problem. Oh, look, English Chinese, traditional. English Chinese, simplified. English Chinese, I don't know why. English Chinese, what is this? English French. Fuel. Oh. Okay, fuel. Do you see what I'm doing? Hello? Do you see what I'm doing, guys?
No.
Actually, here in this dictionary, the Cambridge Dictionary, you cannot see? Okay, because I think I'm sharing only the presentation. This is, maybe I can show you. Give me a minute. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Okay? My entire screen. Okay, entire screen. Do you now? Do you see now? Fuel. This is the Cambridge Dictionary. It is a dictionary that I like. Not the best one, in my opinion. I prefer Merriam-Webster. But for translation, Merriam-Webster does not translate at all. But the Cambridge Dictionary translates and translates very well. Okay? Fuel for the Cambridge Dictionary is a liquid or solid substance that produces energy when burned. Okay? We say for ship and aircraft, donc pour les bateaux et les avions, dans l'aviation, we say combustible. But for cars, we say carburant. Okay? I was thinking about the difference between combustible et carburant in French, because fuel, in English, it's fuel. The liquid or the solid substance that produces energy when burned. When you burn it, you get energy. In English, it is fuel. The problem is in French, do we say carburant ou combustible? According to the Cambridge Dictionary, for ships and aircraft, dans l'aviation et les bateaux, we say combustible. But for cars, we say carburant. Okay? Do you understand? Do you understand? Okay, this is the fuel. The use of chemicals and fuel in factories resulted in increased air and water pollution. L'utilisation des produits chimiques et du fuel dans les usines a augmenté la pollution, a induit une augmentation de l'air et de la pollution de l'air et de l'eau, air and water pollution. Et une augmentation, an increase the use of fossil fuels, une utilisation, une augmentation de l'utilisation des carburants ou des carburants, what did we say? Carburant ou carburant, what was the translation, the other translation? Carburant ou carburant ou combustible fossile, des énergies donc fossiles. L'utilisation des produits chimiques et des carburants ou des combustibles a induit une augmentation de la pollution de l'air et de l'eau, ainsi qu'une augmentation de l'utilisation des énergies fossiles, des carburants, des combustibles fossiles. OK? Coal burning. Coal burning. What is coal? Coal, c'est le charbon. Coal burning caused increased acid rain. Le charbon, quand il brûlait, quand on brûle le charbon, cela a causé, ce qu'on a brûlé comme charbon, a causé une augmentation de la pluie acide, acid rain, which is a phenomenon that occurs when pollutants are released into the atmosphere and then fall back to Earth as precipitation. Coal burning caused increased acid rain. Brûler le charbon a causé une augmentation de la pluie acide, which is a phenomenon that occurs, c'est qui est un phénomène. I told you when it is the singular we say phenomenon, when it is the plural form we say phenomena, which is a phenomenon that occurs. What is the meaning of to occur? What is the meaning of to occur? What is the meaning of to occur? You don't remember? Oh, really? You should study your lessons before the final examination. Be careful. Yes, Aisha, at least Aisha knows the answer. Thank you. Aisha, to happen, to occur, we write to occur, but we say to occur. We write occur, but we say occur, and it means to happen. Okay? Coal burning caused increased acid rain, which is a phenomenon that occurs when pollutants. What is the meaning of pollutants? Les polluants. What is the meaning of pollutants?
Coming for pollution.
Yes, it has something to do with pollutions. Pollutants are all the substances
who pollute atmosphere.
yes, that pollute. I think I explained pollutant somewhere. Les polluants, les agents polluants, all the chemicals, all the substances, all the agents that cause damage to the environment are called pollutants. Toutes les substances, les composés, les produits, les agents qui induisent de la pollution sont appelés des polluants. OK? Coal burning, coal c'est le charbon. OK? Coal. C'est le charbon. OK? It is made of carbon. Ah, sorry, oh là là. Charbon, I'm really sorry. I don't know how I wrote it. Sorry. Okay. Coal burning causes increased acid rain, which is a phenomenon that occurs when pollutants are released into the atmosphere. What is the meaning of to release? What is the meaning of to release? To release or to let go? Libérer. To release, c'est libérer. Yes. To release. To release. I think that we can look for synonyms here in the dictionary. I think that we can find let go, I think. To release. To release. The network connection is very weak. To free. To free. To free something. It is the only synonym that exists in this dictionary. To free, libérer quelque chose. To release, c'est libérer. Yes, that's correct. To free something. It is a phenomenon that occurs when pollutants are released into the atmosphere and then fall back to Earth as precipitation. This is a phenomenon that I'm gonna explain, okay, inshallah, in a few minutes. First, answer the following questions. What is a fuel? Translated to French. What is a fossil fuel? What is a pollutant?
what were the advantages and disadvantages of the Industrial Revolution?
Advantages, c'est les avantages, and disadvantages, c'est les inconvénients.
A fuel is a material used to produce heat or power by burning. A fuel is a material used to produce heat est un matériau utilisé pour produire de la chaleur ou de l'énergie en brûlant. What is the meaning of material?